Hello, hello. Hello, hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This session is about 25 minutes. It's all about Mapbox Search Box and geocoding. I'm Bing. I'm the product marketing manager for search at Mapbox. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items, very quick. All build sessions are recorded, so you should be able to find them on the lobby and also each event, so you can watch again. Captions are available in multiple languages. Feel free to choose. If you have questions, please submit your questions through Zoom Q&A feature. You will see a little button Q&A there. Feel free to submit your question during the presentation. Lastly, feel free to discover build session in the Zoom lobby. You can see more event. That's all for logistic. Let's get into the good stuff. Mapbox search box versus geocoding. Today, we are very excited to have two of our product managers from Search. They are Robert Florence, Senior Product Manager for Geocoding, and we also have Chris Byers, Senior Data Product Manager for Search Box. All right, thank you both. Robert, I'm gonna hand it over to you to kick things off. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Bing. Hi, everyone. I'm the product manager for geocoding at Mapbox. So today we're going to talk about the different problems that you can solve with Mapbox Search, kind of the fundamental differences between what is geocoding versus what is address autofill versus what is the search box API, what's different between them, when to use one or the other, talk about some examples of how different customers have implemented one or the other or both, and then there'll be plenty of time for Q&A. So please leave questions in the Q&A feature. Thanks. So search solves a wide variety of problems. Usually, anytime you're dealing with geospatial, you have to know where something is to start answering a problem. So, for example, how do you make the checkout simpler and faster? Using something like address autofill and geocoding to make sure that the address is auto-completed and it's validated. How do I ensure that like the grocery orders from your delivery app are on time consistently? Search can help you get the most precise location to make that happen. Tracking your fleet. That's another place where geocoding or search box can tell you where your truck is, not just a lat long. And then other questions, even like what are the EV charging stations along a specific route, or what's the nearest hiking trail? This is something search box that can help you answer these questions. So we'll start talking about geocoding, and then we'll move to search box later. So geocoding is kind of like just very specifically for finding addresses and cities and zip codes, states, things like that, and translating them into coordinates. So you send us an address, 123 Main Street, we'll give you the exact lat long where that is. Or you send us San Mateo, California, we'll give you the centroid of where San Mateo, California is. So that's kind of like the core capability of geocoding, to translate back and forth there. Next slide. And there's two types of geocoding. This does apply to search box as well, but you can do what's called a forward search, is where you send us an address or a name of a place, or in the case of search box, a name of like a point of interest, and we'll translate it into the coordinates. And then there's also reverse geocoding. That's where you send us coordinates that, for example, came off of one of your users' phones or a truck IoT device, and we'll convert that into an address that is nearest to that location, or maybe like the zip code that's nearest to that location, depending on your needs. And one easy way to do the forward search with geocoding, especially if you're, for example, you need to register users on your website or capture shipping addresses, is something called our address autofill SDK. And so this is forward geocoding, basically. And the same API and data is behind address autofill as our standard geocoding API. But as you can see on the screen here, address autofill wraps this up into these forms fields that get automatically filled out as the user selects one of the auto completions. And it shows a little map on the side to give the user confidence that, like, yes, we have found the exact correct location for my house. And if they need to, they can adjust the pin, as you can see here. And that correction will get sent to our team, and we can make an update to say, hey, 2595 Lucky Drive is actually slightly to the north, and that's where a user wants to get their packages delivered. And there's a lot of different use cases for geocoding and address autofill. So we just talked about checkout and registration, very common use case. Address autofill is great for that. BI dashboards as well. A lot of times you have customers that are working with huge databases of addresses or lat longs, and they want to do geospatial analysis on those. And so geocoding fits in to a BI tool to enable you to actually do geospatial analysis on what was previously just raw data. Service and store locators are another big use case for us. So basically you enable your users to just do something pretty simple, like type in where their address is or their zip code, and it finds the nearest stores for you. Asset and fleet tracking, this is a reverse geocoding use case. You've got trucks. You need to manage like the security and reliability of the fleet. You need to assess driver performance. You need to respond to incidents. Reverse geocoding will take all those pings off of your trucks and convert them into something that your fleet management team can actually understand and address. Search nearby. Again, this is if you, for example, have a search engine for hotels or other types of activities that are location-based. Geocoding can help you enable a user to just say where they want to go, and then you can use the Mapbox result of where that place is to filter by the nearest available activities you have for them. And then finally, delivery and logistics. When you need to deliver a package to someone's address, geocoding delivers a very precise location so that you can get it there on time. So Mapbox Geocoding has very broad global coverage. We have excellent coverage in North America, Europe, South America, Middle East and North Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and places like Southeast Asia, India, China are not supported for addresses today, but you can get place locations back from geocoding. So our coverage will continue to improve there. We have very high precision, so you can get down to like the exact location of an apartment unit in the US. And we process a huge amount of queries from our customers every day. So we're built for really high scale. We can support high rate limits. And along with that, we have volume tiers where if you're doing a really large amount of geocoding with us, it gets cheaper and cheaper. Finally, we also have something called permanent geocoding, where most geocoders today, either there's no caching allowed at all, or you might be able to cache something for 30 days. If you use our permanent geocoding API, you can actually store results forever. So if the user signs up to your platform and you want to make, hundreds of deliveries to them over the next year or more, you only ever have to geocode that against us one time. You don't have to send us a geocode every time you make a delivery. And our documentation and ease of integration is really excellent. We see a lot of feedback about how easy it is to get set up on geocoding. So scaling with Mapbox Geocoding. So this is like a store locator use case that you're seeing here. It's a huge amount of traffic, drives a lot of store visits for this retail commerce company. So very easy to implement. You just need to put in the geocoding API right into your web application, and it'll enable your users to just drop in any location they want. They could put in a zip code, they could put in an address, they could put in really whatever they want, and this will help you grab the location so you can show them what the nearest stores are. And another common one where we have customers that are sending us billions of requests today in this use case is around the fleet management system, where you've got IoT devices in your truck. You need to have a dashboard like you can see here on the screen that's tracking, hey, where actually was this truck? If you need to do reporting afterwards, or even if you need to respond to an incident in real time, this way you actually know where to send somebody, not just a raw lat long. This is a demo actually that the Mapbox documentation team made that you can find in our documentation. Pretty easy to play with and gives you a good idea of how easy it is to set up. And finally, address autofill. So the Planet Fitness is a huge user of address autofill. They use address autofill every time a new user signs up for a membership at Planet Fitness. They're taken to the screen where they enter their address. This helps them get assigned to the correct nearest Planet Fitness location, and also is used for billing. And this just makes it really easy for a user to quickly select their address without having to type everything and confirm that we have the right location for them. And here I'll pass it over to Chris He's going to talk about kind of going beyond geocoding and the search box API.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, so Search Box API is a single box search made for user interactivity. Um, we can provide both the addresses and places that geocoding provides, in addition to point of interest data. And point of interest data is available for like autocomplete. I'm looking for a place, or as a category search, I'm looking for a coffee shop, or as a brand, I'm looking for Starbucks. All of these things are geared towards user interactivity and great user experience. We also have the ability to go reverse, just like geocoding. So you can look for what's right around me. What are the categories of POI that are around me? And also just single fully formed queries rather than autocomplete. There's a lot of functionality that's implicit within Searchbox and a lot of quality. Our geocoding data set comes straight from geocoding, and it's excellent globally. And on our POI side, we curate and enrich all the POIs that we have internally and update those weekly so that we stay up to date with things that are changing in the real world, places that are opening and closing, and making sure that the user has the best experience possible when you don't want to send them to some place that's already closed as of last week. We have a lot of amazing use cases that are possible within Searchbox, like just standard autocomplete, category search and brand search, as we talked about before, as well as search along route. So if you have a route for navigation, you can have the user have the capability of searching for places along that route and have a good experience. It's really easy to plug and play Searchbox into an implementation. One of the biggest bits of feedback that we've gotten from users is that it's just really simple and easy to get started on it. We also have excellent language support globally, with localized language in almost every region of the globe. Plus the ability to go offline. If you have users that are going to be going into places with low connectivity, you can switch over to offline, have that data set still available for them, and not lose any like functionality in that period of time. Next. So our primary use cases for Searchbox are navigation, obviously. So we can have someone who's wanting to go on a trip in a vehicle or something else, and be able to find that location, navigate to it. We also support a lot of discovery and local search use cases. That's where I want to find, say, trails that are near me to go run, or camping spots. Then we also have trip planning. A lot of folks use us to go find places to go while they're out on the scene, say in Paris. I want to go find the different landmarks, decide where I'm going to go, and maybe even schedule a route around those. And then we have location sharing. This is like the family location apps, the folks that are using us for not just what address am I at, but like what POI am I at, what business is my family at, so that I can understand where they're going, where everybody is, and that they're all safe. For scaling, we have Louvre Hotels uses us for finding locations that are associated with places to stay. So I want to go on a trip and I want to find the best hotel based on what sorts of things I want to do in a particular area. So I can search for those places, I can develop a plan, and then I can find a hotel that associates with that place. And they get tons of traffic that comes through every day with Searchbox. ANWB in Europe uses us for navigation. So they allow their users to look for different places, landmarks, EV stations, other types of POI, so that they can then plan a route, understand what things are available along that route, and make that navigation experience excellent. So talking about differentiators between geocoding and Searchbox. Robert, I always think of Searchbox as being more for like a user interactive search experience, where I'm going to have somebody in front of a screen or a keyboard and like figuring out where to go or what to find. Versus
Yeah.
geocoding, I think you're more in some cases in an automated role.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of on geocoding side, a lot of this stuff will happen on the back end. So for example, like just a pure delivery customer, they have drivers that need to go um, get to very precise locations. But the drivers aren't actually like typing in, hey, here's the address I need to go to. That's all coming from the back end. And so we the geocoding call is actually happening much before the delivery without any user interaction. But like for example, Herb is or one of our ride hailing customers, they actually need to be able to expose um, a box for a user to type into. And so I think in that case, they ended up deciding not to use geocoding for that, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, they're using search box for a primary front end search for the driver, or even for the user if they're going to be looking up something for where to go.
Yeah. Another example is um one of the biggest like kind of location tracking companies. I think on the previous slide you were mentioning about like the family tracker.
Mhm.
um they also previously they used geocoding, so they could always tell like what's the nearest address of where a certain family member is, but they ended up, I think, again switching to search box, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because like understanding that somebody's at Starbucks is a little bit more helpful than understanding that somebody is at 143 Main Street when you're talking about a family location sharing type of use case. I think
For
the other
sure.
big thing that's different is like that permanent storage that's possible with geocoding. Like if you wanted to bring that data in and put it in your database, use it for something else, and like tag other data with that information and pass it through your database, that's like prime geocoding use case.
Definitely. And a lot of that happens on the batch search, that like bottom line on the
Mhm.
screen there, where in geocoding you can bundle up, it's up to 1,000 queries in a single request. Can make it a lot more efficient, like remove a lot of the request overhead, especially if you're doing stuff from the front end, like in BI. So geocoding really does support a lot more just kind of like back end bulk search cases. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now there are folks who use both geocoding and search box. As we have a recent addition to our customer base, TripAdvisor uses geocoding to save batch like permanent geocodes of like their venues locations into the database and improve those addresses and locations associated with those businesses. But they also let them use Searchbox to look for a POI that's associated with their business. So if I'm starting up Bob's Chicken Shack, I can search for that POI, add that into TripAdvisor, and then save it with geocoding. You can save all the address components and get a really refined location for it. So they're uh, they're getting the power of both of those platforms. We also have um, sorry, we also have Picnic. Picnic is using us for delivery, primarily in Europe. And they use both the geocoding engine and Searchbox. Geocoding is used primarily for like logistics side, where they're saving permanent locations and then searching based on them. And then Searchbox for the front end search. So I want to find someplace, either a POI or or an address, and then deliver something to it or pick up something from it. They've had great results in terms of how that's improved their performance, on-time delivery rates, and reduction in delivery time. And in the next slide, they've discussed how both of these platforms have really improved the quality of their service. Curb, which I think Robert mentioned a little bit earlier, also uses both platforms. So as we were talking about in the differentiators, for a customer who's looking for a place to get dropped off, that place might be a POI, it might be an address. And so the best way to have that front end search put together is with Searchbox. So they have that custom that ability to search for either type of thing, and then have someone drop them off at it. And then on the geocoding side, again, they're using permanent geocoding to save locations, improve their logistics, and improve their time to respond whenever they have someone come onto their platform. And we have a lot of other sessions this week. I know if some of these sessions have already happened, so if they have, we will have recordings for, say, the offline search session that you can go watch. And then we have a bunch of other cool stuff that's coming up later this week. If you're interested in geocoding, highly recommend that geocoding deep dive. For address autofill, if you have some form fill use cases you need to put together, really recommend going to see that. All right.
Alrighty, I think we have a couple minutes and I saw a couple of questions. Let's start our Q&A. Thank you, everyone. Please feel free to leave your question to the Q&A sessions. All right, let's see.
You mean to start here, Bing?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll take a couple that came in earlier. Someone had a question about use cases for geocoding. They said beyond the examples we showed, what kind of new fields do we expect geocoding to have in the future, and whether there's any application examples of geocoding combined with AI or machine learning. So geocoding today has a relatively robust API response object. We give you the full hierarchy of their geographic location, like all the boundaries that a certain address lies within. We give you some information about like the level of accuracy of that result, like whether it's a rooftop or it only intersects a parcel, a lot of things like that. And where we are considering looking to expand to is give more information about like kind of like the delivery attributes of a location. So including a building entrance into an address's API response. So not just the lat long of like the rooftop, but actually where the doorway is. So that's a big priority for us over the next couple of months. And then beyond that, also bringing in more metadata around the nature of that location. Like, is it multi-story? Is it multi-tenant? How wide is the area in which this address inhabits? So that especially in delivery and navigation use cases, you can kind of like know what you're getting into before you actually arrive at that location. And then around the AI, like actually Mapbox recently released an MCP server, and the biggest usage coming out of that MCP server today is geocoding. And the reason is when someone asks a location-based question to an AI tool, like, hey, I'm here and like I'm on a road trip, to Las Vegas, and I've got a dog, and I'm looking for like a couple different places to stop for a hike on the way there. To answer that question, you need multiple Mapbox services to do that across navigation, search, and maps. But in the first place, you actually have to like know where's Las Vegas. You have to tell the LLM where Las Vegas is. You have to tell the LLM where the user is, where those hikes are, etc. And so geocoding is kind of like a fundamental part of LLMs using our tools via our MCP server. Thanks for that question. I'll do one more, Bing. There's a question about how is permanent geocoding storage different from standard caching, and what are the main use cases for it? So permanent, so most other geocoders, like I mentioned, there's either no caching at all, you're not allowed to by the terms of service, or there's a 30-day caching. So you can keep that response for 30 days, but then after that, you're gonna have to re-request it. Permanent geocoding is useful because a lot of time, like for example, if you're a fleet manager, for compliance and reporting purposes, you actually need to have a list of like where your truck started and stopped historically, so that you can do analysis for example, like paying back gas taxes. And if you use temporary geocoding, like anytime you even attempt to do analysis, you're going to trigger maybe billions of additional geocoding calls to your geocoding provider. Whereas if you just use permanent geocoding, you store them in your database, it's done. And similar to delivery customers, where you've got a big database of customer addresses and delivery locations. I mean, if you don't use permanent geocoding, you're stuck at least every 30 days. If you're with a competitor, you're stuck requesting and spending more money on the same information over and over again. Whereas permanent geocoding, again, you can just store it permanently. Thanks for that question.
All right. I think I have time for one more question. I think, Chris, maybe there's one for you.
Yes. There was someone who was asking about integrating search box and understanding how to improve the results that they're getting from search box. Um, so there are a few things you can do. You can, like if you're appropriately using proximity and association with the search, you're going to get a lot better results. Our relevance is primarily based upon distance. So if we have a coordinate associated with the proximity, you're going to get much better results if you have that set correctly, as well as language. So if you're working internationally, you're going to get a lot better results if you have your language set to, say, the local or whatever someone's going to be using in that region. Also, it also kind of depends on whether someone's looking for a category of POI. You can enable category search to get better results for types of POIs and be able to have them interact with that. So I'm going to start searching for coffee. I'll get a suggestion for coffee as a category and be able to go into that, get the nearest results, again, based on proximity, and then go on through that process. Also, if you have other questions about how to improve that search experience, you can always reach out to us and we can try to help you along the way.
I know we have so many other questions. I don't think we have time to answer today live, but we will follow up with you. We have your signed up email. We will follow up with you with current answers. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today and looking forward to see you next session's Tableau. See ya. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.